Great. Thank you very much, everyone. Welcome, welcome, Sergio and Chloe. And oh my God, I see I recognize so many of you now after having done so many of these events. So that's great. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for being here tonight. And we have a very exciting presentation for you. And this is a workshop. So what a workshop means for me is that it takes your participation as well to have it work. Like Chloe said, my name is Arvin. I have been working with startups, small to medium businesses for about a decade now. I've worked in operations, in people, in product, in auditing and financials and inventory and logistics, and really anywhere the business has needed support, I've been there. And I'm here today to present to you perfecting your pitch, attracting investors, curating your idea, and more. I understand that's the title of this presentation, and it probably won't go where you think it's going to go, and I invite you to be excited for that. So let's take a look. While we have not yet had time to get to know each other, we're all here for a very important reason. All of us are here because we have a profound commitment to developing ourselves and to taking on new skills. And so, again, I welcome and acknowledge each one of you for being someone with the courage to take on your life and for putting yourself in an environment that may make you uncomfortable and gives you access to ever expanding breakthroughs. Our intention for the session today is to leave you capable of sharing what you are creating authentically. Now, this workshop is designed to meet you exactly where you are. Some of you might be refining a specific pitch that's been keeping you up at night, whereas others might be here to build a foundation for future opportunities. Now, whatever brought you here today, you're in precisely the right place to develop these capacities. So, this workshop is not a passive presentation. I am counting on your participation. I am inviting you to really pull this conversation to yourself. It may be uncomfortable, and this is not a theoretical conversation. This is a conversation about what it takes to keep alive a commitment over time and in the face of whatever life may throw at you. Before we dive into any more content, I'd love to hear from some of you. I'd like to hear what brought you here today, what you see for yourself. Did you come in prepared? You just came in to observe, or do you have something you're working on? So I'd love to take maybe one or two shares if you want to raise your hand and just share what brings you here today. And if hands don't, I will voluntold you if hands don't go up. Oh, Sergio, my good friend. Yes, please. What brings you here today?
Hi. Yeah. Well, what brought me here to this workshop and specifically to Vision to Reality in general is like my long-term goal in life is to run my own business. I do not have any like particular idea set in stone at the moment, but as you said, I'm here to acquire these abilities as a foundation for later in the future, right? As what I do right now with Vision to Reality is also business development that has this component of presenting a pitch up to a certain extent. So it will be a great way to develop myself as well.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll take one more. Who else would like to share what brings them here today? Chloe.
Yeah, although I'm a host for today, but I don't really always have the confidence to speak in the public, not even to pitch people. So yeah, I want to hear more about how like you, professional, experienced speaker, to how can you do it and like how what is the tactic?
Awesome. Thank you, Chloe. Okay, great. Well, let me tell you what shifted everything I thought I knew about communicating ideas. It was last year I had what I consider to be the perfect pitch. In my many years of presenting, I learned what makes a good, compelling pitch is a strong presentation. That's all it is. So for this pitch I had last year, I had meticulously designed slides, I had really compelling data, and I had an airtight narrative. I have spent way too many years developing my capacities in public speaking, in negotiation, and even in design, so I can have the most beautiful slides and the best presentation. So I just want you to imagine this. It was last summer, I was at an investment firm's office on Granville Island. It was a very sunny, warm day. I think I was wearing shorts to this pitch, and I was there to pitch an investment product to the CEO and the executive team of this investment firm. After I nailed the presentation for the investors, their responses kind of caught me off guard. What they got from my presentation was completely different than what I wanted them to get. It was almost like I was there selling oranges and they thought I was making applesauce. Like there was a complete disconnect between what I was saying and what they were listening to. And I thought a lot about that moment, and I realized that when they gave their feedback, I could either defend my carefully crafted pitch and my beautiful slides, or I could open myself up to discovering something entirely new. See, in the past, I would have defended my pitch. I mean, I have all this evidence of why this is an excellent investment. This is such a great idea. It's a win-win deal for both of us. I have so much evidence for how good this presentation is. And my gosh, they should have just loved me. I had all this evidence supporting my side, and none of it really mattered because they didn't get what I was saying. I realized the problem was I wasn't listening. That doesn't mean that I was covering my ears when they were giving feedback. See, there's a distinction between hearing and listening. So I'm going to take some shout outs. Does anyone know the distinction between hearing and listening? Any shout outs? You shout it out? No one? Come on.
I would say that if you're listening, it means that you're actively taking in the input and processing it through your brain. And if you're just hearing, it's just like a noise that you're hearing. Yeah, that's how it's always been like this for me as well. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Any other thoughts? Distinction between hearing and listening? No one knows. That's fine, because I'm about to tell you. Hearing is purely physical. Our hearing is nothing more than sounds coming into our eardrums. Whereas listening is the shape of our hearing. The filters through which we hear give our listening. Now, everyone listens differently. Our listening is made up of all of our past experiences and all of our memories. Our past gives how we listen today. Let me give you an example. So, okay, I'm going to use some examples. I could go up to Chloe and I'll go up to Sergio and I'll tell Chloe, Chloe, I went to jail last night. And then I'll tell Sergio at the same time, Sergio, I went to jail last night. Sergio is gonna start laughing and laughing and laughing because he thinks it's really funny that I went to jail last night. And Chloe is gonna start crying and crying and crying because she's upset that I went to jail. That's not a fun place to be at. So the thing about that is I said the same thing. The same hot air came out of my vocal cords and went into their eardrums in the same way. But just based on their past and their sense of humor and their views and their perspectives, they listened to something completely different, even though I said the same thing. Now, bringing this back to my investor pitch, I gave a great presentation. And what I discovered was that I wasn't listening to the investors. It doesn't matter how good my slides were or how well I spoke, I was not listening to their concerns and I was not listening to their feedback. Now, I was hearing their feedback. Yes, okay. I heard them talking and it went into my ears and I wasn't listening to it. I mean, I think someone alluded to it earlier. You know that expression, like in one ear and out the other? Yeah, that's what I was doing. I wasn't planning on listening to any of the feedback they were giving. So from there, I began noticing how much in my life I wasn't listening. And you can take a look for yourself. I mean, In some of your relationships, I don't know, like with your parents or with your friends or with your boss, do you hear what they say or do you really listen to what they say? In fact, I'll assert that most of you, including me, don't listen either. You hear what they say, but there are certain topics or certain conversations where you don't listen. You zone out or you get triggered, right? All of us have those. So let's take a look here. So let's explore something a little counterintuitive. Consider all those things that you avoid talking about. And I don't just mean in pitching and presenting, I mean in life in general. All those things that trigger you or make you upset. Consider there is gold where you aren't listening. I'm going to say that again. Consider there is gold where you aren't listening. What if those things that you are unwilling to listen to contain opportunities and miracles you never saw before? Consider you can not listen or you can have miracles. The choice is yours. Often our biggest barrier between having an idea and turning that idea into a product is our inability to truly listen. Now, remember I mentioned earlier that listening isn't just about hearing words, it's about the meaning we apply to what we hear. That meaning is shaped by our assumptions, biases, and the truths we'd rather avoid. When we notice and set aside these filters, we can be fully present and open to the other person's world. When we set aside what we just don't like and can't be with and truly listen, we might hear something we've never heard before. Because if we only hear what we want to hear and only listen to what we want to listen to, we filter out feedback and ideas that could change everything for us. And by listening to what we are unwilling to listen to, gold and miracle begin presenting themselves. I mean, what if $1 million idea slips by you because we can't hear past our own preferences? Nobody wants to miss up an opportunity like that, right? All right, we're going to move on quickly, and we have a new conversation. So, having created the world of listening, let's add another dimension to that. So, I'm going to say something radical. I understand this whole workshop is about giving presentations, but what if the most important opportunities don't come from formal pitches at all? I mean, let me share something I've experienced. The most transformative deals I've personally witnessed come from unexpected conversations, like in coffee shops or especially at conferences. Even, you know how it's called an elevator pitch? Like I've seen firsthand an elevator pitch work and turn into a deal. Why? Because natural conversations create space for real connection and genuine possibility. When you're there giving a pitch in a formal presentation, it's about the pitch. Oftentimes, it has nothing to do with I'm a person and you're a person. I have needs, you have needs. Let's see how we can work together. So, let me give you an example. In 2023, I must have pitched over 50 times to different investors. Do you know how I closed a multi-million dollar, multi-year deal that year? It was not from one of those formal pitches. It was, I mean, one of them was at an event that we had. It was an event, and this guy that we'd never met came only because we had free food. And he's dressed in super casual clothing. And just from, hey, who are you? How did you find out about this event? Oh, cool. Oh, you want to give us $1 million. Basically, kind of went like that, right? And so let's consider the difference here. In a pitch, we're focused on getting it right. What's it? The presentation, we're focused on getting the slides right. We're focused on speaking right. We're focused on looking right. Whereas in a conversation, we're open to discovery. In a pitch, we're performing by definition. It's a presentation. We've rehearsed and now we're going to present what we've rehearsed. Whereas in a conversation, we're connecting. In a conversation, there's no plan, there's no place to get to. Now, as much as conversations work when they just arise naturally, being prepared does also make a difference. And so, of course, the key is being ready for these moments. It's having your core idea distilled to its essence. So, of course, everyone knows you got to have some sort of elevator pitch that you can just throw in a conversation. But something else is the ability to introduce yourself, right? Like when I go up to someone, I have an introduction that I've practiced for years and years and years, 10, 20, 30 seconds long, introducing myself. And then I also have an introduction for my idea as well. And of course, sharing it naturally as part of a dialogue in a conversation, you can plan in your head. But like, it's not like when you're speaking, you're going through a script, you're not a tape recorder. So just being able to naturally, really smoothly intertwining your idea and introducing yourself as part of the dialogue and staying curious about where the conversation leads. I mean, it's not really a secret, but people love to talk about themselves. So if you ever find yourself in an elevator with an investor, just ask about them and ask about their life and just ask them to talk about themselves because people love to do that and listen for unexpected connections. If you're curious about people and ask what they do, I mean, who knows who they know and who they can refer you, right? And of course, most importantly, it's just being interested in others. I'm someone who used to hate small talk. I like even at hotels, if I can check in digitally, I used to check in digitally because I don't want to talk to the person at the desk. But I mean, one time in Vegas, I did talk to the person at the desk. They upgraded my room. They gave me $100 meal credit. Like these are things that you can't even predict. You can't speculate. And they just come from being interested in people, asking them how their day is, asking them where they're from, asking them their background. Now, I want to talk about something else that comes up when we relate to people, whether they're investors or mentors or bosses or coworkers or any type of relationship. Oftentimes we get nervous. I can say this myself. I've been nervous. I get nervous before having a conversation. I get nervous during a conversation. I get nervous before a presentation, during a presentation, and even after a presentation. Now, I'm not nervous about anything happening with me. I'm nervous about interacting with that intimidating person over there. So who here has been nervous before when you have to talk to your boss, you have something that you don't have to share what it is, but if you can just raise your hand, you've been nervous, you got to talk to your boss or your coworker or investor, and you're like, oh my God, what are they going to think about me? And ugh. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something that a forum leader told me many years ago. It's that people are just as afraid of you as you are of them. I know for myself, I am generally the youngest person in the room. I've been in rooms where like people are double or triple my age, and the other thing is I don't dress formally, and I used to work in finance. So just imagine everyone's in like suits and ties. I wear Japanese streetwear mostly. I wear baggy clothes. I have like tattoos everywhere, um, and I become really nervous. I mean, here I am dressed like a teenager, and there's all these experienced people with PhDs and suits, and I get nervous. And what's made the biggest difference for me is that, you know what? These these are people. When you're giving a pitch, I mean, I used to forget all the time. These are people. They have a job. They need to do their job. They need to invest in companies. They need to make a return on their investment, right? They're not just sitting around, being generous, giving me their time. They want something from me just as much as I want something from them. Everyone is dealing with something internally. I mean, a couple summers ago, I hired a team of interns and I must have interviewed 200 people for our interns. And like sometimes I even got nervous before I interviewed someone. They're asking me for a job and here I am nervous interviewing them, right? And so you never know what people are dealing with but just know that as nervous as you are, they are at least 10% also as nervous as you are, okay? Now, even if you are having a conversation, your conversation goes really well, you're pitching or selling something, at some point they might ask for a formal document, they might ask for a pitch deck or other types of materials. And so when you do need formal materials, let's talk about creating something that is professional, regardless of your design background. So who here is a designer? Can you raise your hand if you went to school for design and you learned design and you studied design and you read books on design? Rebecca's like, kind of not. Okay, great. So, guess what? You don't need to be a designer in order to design compelling materials. I did not go to design school. I actually didn't go to any type of school, but I especially did not go to design school. And you see my slides today, they have a moving background and they animate. Really, the most important thing when it comes to design or any type of formal documents you have to give out is to experiment. Nobody is born knowing how to design. Nobody learns it overnight. I am a firm believer that everyone should be able to design to some extent, even if you're an engineer or you're in marketing, it doesn't matter what you do, but just being able to clearly articulate your ideas in some sort of form is really important. The best way I know of how to design is to experiment. It's to make mistakes. It's to make some bad designs and to send your bad designs to people and get embarrassed about it and do it again. Some of the actual tools that I like to use and I'd recommend, you might have heard of a lot of them. Figma. Figma is my personal best friend. It's design software. It's free to use. You can use it online. I use it for software design to design products. I use it for marketing materials. I use it for presentations. I even use it instead of Microsoft Word to write nice documents. Canva is another option if you're getting started. Most of you are probably familiar with this. You can create posts, you can create pitches, you can create decks. What you're looking at right now, my presentation today, I made with Keynote. Apple makes Keynote. If you have an Apple device, it's completely free to use. You can use it on any device. You can use it online. And like how you see my background moves, like all of that's built in. You can make really nice presentations really easily with Keynote, and it's free. And if you pay for PowerPoint or your school pays for PowerPoint, that's another great option as well. Whatever you are comfortable with, just use that. So let me walk you through some of the design work I've done as someone who's had no formal training as a designer. So I've been experimenting with design for about 4 or 5 years now. So don't expect that if it's your first time, you're going to make something like this. And I just want you to, as I share some of these, to just make some observations. You're not going to share them just to yourself. And I want you to take a look and see why they're effective at conveying a message and why they are appropriate for the context. So let me walk you through these. So sometimes slides can be really complex. This is an example of a company that I used to work with. It's really hard to explain it. And so, of course, the visuals are also kind of a little more complex. But you can see how everything is kind of organized into tiles. There is a lot of color, but everything's kind of minimal and white. Colors used really intentionally. The icons are used pretty intentionally. Really, really just simple icons. This slide has a lot of text, so I've varied the text. You can see some of it is a lot smaller, some of it is gray and bold, and then they're all kind of in tiles. And one thing that it's a really, really small detail, but if you notice, every tile has the same number of lines. So the titles all have 2 lines, and then the paragraphs all each have 3 lines, right? So they're just changing words, changing words, changing words until they can all be the same. So although there's a lot of text on this page, the fact that all of them have the same number of lines just makes it look symmetrical and a lot easier to read. Here's another one from that same deck. Again, it's one of those things where there's so many numbers, there's so many different values, there's so many different acronyms, and just to squish it all into one page was a challenge. But if you kind of look at it at a first glance, it doesn't overwhelm your eyes as much because it's really minimal. Color is used really strategically. You can see like there's some orange text as well for little different things just to keep it varied. Different things are bold, different things are not bold. You can see the circles that say 1 million, 10 million, they kind of get bigger and bigger and darker as they grow. And one more example from that deck. Again, this is market size. This is a really popular slide you must have in a lot of your different decks. You can see I use colors and icons to do that. And here's another deck I made. Sometimes you just want people to get the key points quickly. So this is a lot simpler. There's a lot less color. It's just really simple text, really simple icons. The background is just a bunch of random lines and some nice colors. Here's another example. It's a really text heavy slide. I mean, I could put icons, but there's no icons that would really add to this slide. So again, just really text heavy. I just use a lot of color. I have lines on the side to separate the sections. And here's another deck that I've made. Sometimes simplicity wins. This deck, for example, is more of a conversational deck. So it's similar to my presentation today, where I share a slide, but I talk about it more than people read about it. And again, another really, really simple slide. Sometimes that's what's appropriate for the presentation. Remember, you're not trying to be a graphic designer. You're trying to create clarity and professionalism through really intentional choices. And also remember, AI is your best friend here. I know we got about an hour in before anyone said AI, but I had to say it. AI isn't just useful for writing. I know a lot of us might use it for text and emails and writing, but it can also provide feedback on your designs and can help you craft a narrative really effectively. So we're going to email these out to you, but I just want to give you a few examples of some of the different ways that the AI models can help you. All of these services offer free accounts, and if you want to pay for them, I think all of them are actually under $30 a month for the Pro plan, so they're super affordable. All of these different AI models I'm going to share with you, they support photos and videos. So you can literally take a screenshot of what you're designing, give it to the AI, and it will give you really, really specific feedback. And that's really useful if it's your first time designing. All of you are probably familiar with ChatGPT. So the company that makes ChatGPT is called OpenAI, and the model's name is 4o. If you go like on ChatGPT, you'll see it says GPT 4o. 4o is really good for quick research, and it's really good for simple problem solving. OpenAI has another model called O1. This one is really good for deep thinking. It's really good at making big outlines, like a presentation outline, and it's also really good for complex problems or brainstorming. There's another company called Anthropic. You might have heard of them. They make an AI called Claude. Claude is really good for writing and for writing styles. My favorite feature on Claude is you can upload a sample of your own writing style, and then you can ask it to write things in your writing style. So you can do research online, find different things, give it to Claude, and it will rewrite it as your style. Google also makes a bunch of different AI models. Gemini 2.0, again, is really good for research, facts, and basic writing. And Gemini 1.5 Deep Research. This one is really good for doing research and reports. It searches hundreds of websites in a couple of minutes, and it writes you a 10, 20-page report instantly. So I'm just going to quickly just show you what these look like. And then, like I said, we're going to email these off to you so you have a copy of them. So there we go. So this is Gemini. This is Google Gemini. So you can see that I have a little toggle here where I can choose which model. So you can use 2.0 or you can use 1.5 Deep Research. And you just give it a topic and then it thinks and it thinks and it thinks. And then it'll ask you to do a research on that. And then it takes a few minutes and you can, there you go. So I'll do start research and that's going to start researching. Look at that. Okay, great. And then you can come back in a few minutes to this. ChatGPT, of course, you're all familiar with. If you click up here, you can change which model you use. So if you want the smarter one, you can use O1, for example. And a Gemini, like I said, you can use the 2.0 as well, and Claude. So Claude, like I have my writing style, Arvin's formal style. So I can say, write a elevator pitch for a ring lights. And so it will now write an elevator pitch in my writing style. See, that's how I talk. Let me paint you a picture of the modern creator's most faithful companion, the ring light. Isn't that great? It's like it sounds just like me. It's how I would talk. And that took 2 seconds and it wrote it in my writing style. So just to end today, and I'm mindful of time, perfecting your pitch. It's not really that much about the presentation, as I learned the hard way. I had the nicest slides and the best speaking, and it didn't really matter. And what I've learned is that listening and listening openly to feedback I'd never heard just opens all new opportunities for me. I also learned that conversations a lot of times are way more effective than formal pitches. I mean, to try to book a meeting with an investor is not fun, but just to take them out for coffee and just to learn from them and their experience is really effective in becoming related to them. And you don't have to be a designer to design. I wasn't. And there was no AI when I was learning to design, and now there is. And take advantage of these tools. They all offer free plans. And I promise you, no one uses anything other than ChatGPT. So even the fact that you know about the other models means that you are already at an advantage. That's it for me. Thank you very much, and I'd love to hear your questions.